Hello and welcome to the Leeds Rugby League Hall of Fame. And to welcome this year's inductees, I'd like to welcome Phil Caplan, the chairman of the Leeds Rhinos Heritage Group.
When the Rhinos instituted the acclaimed Greats of the Millennium concept in 1999, two bastions of the front row were included. Current Hall of Famer Joe Thompson won. The other still retains a place in the club's records. Leeds' win over Coventry in April 1913 remains unique. The Loiners ran up a then record score of 102-0, and the game is still the only time when every member of a team has been on the score sheet. A prop that historic afternoon scored 8 of the 24 tries, then a club best, and a mark which has been equalled just once by winger Eric Harris. Remarkably, the forward subsequently managed just 76 tries in his entire career and never achieved a total of more than 7 in 17 other seasons for Leeds. Signed from Brotherton, by 1906 he was the most feared forward in the game, and 4 years later skippered the side to their first silverware, the Challenge Cup. He scored a vital try in the narrowest semi-final win over Warrington, was relentless in the taming of Hull in both the drawn first game and replay 2 days later. Such was his outstanding form, he was one of 3 Loiners selected on the inaugural Lions tour to the Antipodes in 1910, playing in all 3 tests and scoring the crucial try in the second encounter with the Australians in Brisbane. Appearing in a total of 14 of the 18 tour matches, he was part of the only squad to ever receive a financial guarantee and promised a total of £6,000 to share. As it turned out, the trip exceeded expectations, and the percentage of the gate receipts in Australia and New Zealand totalled over £7,000, and such a safeguard was not written in again. The club's first stalwart, he also appeared for Leeds in their first ever championship final in 1915 and the 1919-20 Yorkshire Cup decider. The 14th inductee is Fred Webster, heritage number 151, 543 appearances between 1902 and 1920.
One of the all-time greats of Leeds, signed on his 18, 1902, finished in 1920, played 543 games. What an incredible record that was.
Well, when you account for the war years as well, it makes you wonder whether he would have ever been the leading appearance maker. John Holmes had 625, so Fred is the first stalwart of the club.
He's one of these players that lasted a huge amount of time, but also has these incredible high points in his career. And there's some really strange ones as well. So, for example, he was the first Leeds player ever to score a real field goal. In 1907, he kicked what was then called the field goal against Sunderland. Now today, people think field goal, like the Australians call it, it's a drop goal. But in those days, a field goal was when a ball was rolling along the ground, you could still kick it over the bar in between the posts and it'd be a goal. And so Fred Webster was the first and quite possibly the last Leeds player to kick a proper field goal.
And he managed to play on until 1920, so 18 years here, 38 when he finished playing. We've already talked about his prowess on the field. He then became a publican in a local suburb around here and carried on being fating the locals by having somewhere on Scotthall Road. Yeah,
well, again, like the other players here, he became part of the local community, and he ran the Sheepscar Hotel, which, as you say, bottom of Scotthall Road, where the Volvo dealership is now. And he was a part of the local community all through the interwar years, and he reflected the way that rugby league just was part of the city, part of the lifeblood and the fabric of the city, in the same way that it is today.
Just again, going back to that 1910 Cup final, first trophy Leeds had won. Even though the replay was a Monday afternoon, mass crowds when the team came back. There'd been drama in the first game because the train had been delayed and the kick-off was late. Yeah. But it meant so much to the city, which had just gained city status. It's only been about, I think, 5 years before that Leeds had elevated itself. And to have the sporting team that carried the name of the city win a major trophy and parade it through the streets, we shouldn't underestimate how important that was for this club.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I think is always is a wonderful tribute to those players in that final is that the Daily Graphic, which was then one of the leading newspapers at the time, sent up a reporter from London who no doubt had a rugby union background, and he was transfixed by the final. And he wrote on in his report of the match, he said, the spirit of rugby lives on, and anyone who was at that match on Saturday could see that the spirit of this glorious old game is alive and kicking in the north of England. And I think that's kind of a tribute to the players at the time and a tribute to what the game had achieved in its 15 years of existence up to that point.
So the aim of the Leeds Rhinos Foundation Heritage Committee is to present these salvers to relatives of the people who are the honorary recipients of them. As yet, we haven't found any for Fred, but we'd love this to adorn a sideboard, be it alongside the certificate that will be presented with it, and it would be great to carry on the tradition of Fred's name.